Dear students and my teacher friends, Namaskar. I welcome you to the presentation lecture on middle ear. Now, in this lecture, we are going to discuss the structures of the middle ear, the components of middle ear, what the middle ear is made up of. That we are going to discuss. Then we are going to discuss about the auditory ossicle. Okay, what are the auditory ossicle, what role they are playing, what are the function of auditory ossicle, okay, and how these auditory ossicles are involved in the function of hearing, that we are going to discuss in this lecture. So now we are starting our discussion. So middle ear, see the theory points, uh, the numbering, okay. I have given the numbering in continuation with our previous lecture. So the previous lecture, external ear, in that we have covered 7 points. So today this is the 8th point. So middle ear, see in the middle ear air filled cavity is present, and this air filled cavity which is present in middle ear is known as tympanic cavity. So in the figure I am showing you, for example, this is the figure of ear, and here this cavity, okay, this cavity, this entire cavity is the tympanic cavity. So this one is the tympanic cavity, and here you can see the name is written tympanic cavity. So this part they are showing, so actually this entire portion is the tympanic cavity. So middle ear contains an air-filled tympanic cavity. Now between the middle ear and inner ear, in between middle ear and inner ear, a bony wall is present. So let me show you this. Here, as you can see, this is 1, 2 and 3. These 3 are the auditory ossicle, okay, auditory ossicle, they are the part of middle ear, and this one, this is entire inner ear. So between the middle ear and inner ear, this is the bony wall is present, okay. So this is the bony wall between middle and inner ear. So we can say bony wall separate middle ear from inner ear. Now in this bony wall, 2 membrane covered openings are present. 2 membrane covered openings are located within this wall, and these openings are known as, one is oval window and second one is a round window. Oval window, this is the oval window, okay, and round window. This is a round window. Okay. So you go through this figure, okay, try to read all the names, okay, once. Now, inferiorly, auditory tube is present. Inferior to middle ear, one tube is present, and this tube is known as auditory tube. Auditory tube, also known as pharyngo-tympanic tube or Eustachian tube. So let me show you this. In this figure, see auditory tube. Okay. So this tube is the auditory tube. Now the length of this tube, auditory, is approximately 3.5 centimeter, that is 1.5 inch. And what role this auditory tube is playing? So auditory tube serve as a passageway, and this tube extend from the middle ear to the nasopharynx. Now nasopharynx, we know nasopharynx is the portion of upper throat posterior to the nasal cavity. So that is nasopharynx. So simply we can say the auditory tube is present between, it is located between middle ear and nasopharynx, or auditory tube extends from middle ear up to the nasopharynx. Now generally this auditory tube is closed. So in the figure I am showing you once again, this is the auditory tube, this is the auditory tube, and one more figure I would like to show you. Okay, one minute. See here, this is the auditory tube they are showing. Okay, and this is the middle ear. Here you can see nasopharynx. So auditory tube extends from middle ear. As you can see, it is extending from middle ear up to nasopharynx. Okay, so I am showing you this entire figure. See auditory tube of an adult, and in this figure you can see auditory tube of child. You can compare the auditory tube of adult with the child. Now here in this figure, see the auditory tube of an infant and adult. So auditory tube of a child, left hand side, and here you can see the auditory tube of an adult. So we can see auditory tube is extending from middle ear up to nasopharynx. Okay. Okay, now see, now the air movement through this tube occur. So why air enters into this auditory tube? So air enters into this tube as a result of our chewing process due to yawning, okay, and the swallowing process. So these are the three processes due to which the air enters, air moves in the auditory tube, okay. So see here, the air enters, okay, this way. So now we can understand on both the side. See, this one is tympanic membrane. This tube is the external acoustic matters, and here atmospheric air is there, okay, and here the air is entering from the nasopharynx. So simply we can say, on the either side of tympanic membrane, air is present, okay. Since both the side of the tympanic membrane the air is present, this allow tympanic membrane to vibrate freely, okay. Tympanic membrane can freely vibrate because on both the side the air pressure is there, and this air pressure on both the side is equalized. That's why. Okay. Now, tympanic cavity, auditory tube, and nasopharynx, they are lined inside by a continuous mucous membrane. This is the tympanic cavity, auditory tube. So this lining, okay, inside this lining, or this lining, okay. So this lining is having a mucous membrane, okay, and here you can see this one is the bony wall, and in this bony wall is separating middle ear with the inner ear, and in the in this bony wall there is round window and oval window, okay. Both the windows are present in the wall, and here this is the mucous membrane inside, okay. Now sometimes in some patient, what happened, from the nasopharynx, infectious agent, for example cold virus, they enter in the middle ear and they spread infection in the middle ear, okay. So the viruses from the nasopharynx, they cross the auditory tube and they reach to the middle ear and here they are causing the infection. So the infections clinically are known as otitis media, okay. So here see, clinical view is given, and just in case you are interested to learn about this disease of middle ear or the tympanic membrane, so you can read this two para. Okay, but in case you are preparing for medical entrance, this is not in your syllabus. Okay, but if you are interested, so you can read about what is otitis media and what is myringotomy. Okay, so in short, what happens? Infectious agent from the nasopharynx, they can travel through auditory tube and they can infect middle ear. Now, in the tympanic cavity, for example, this is the tympanic cavity. See, here you can see tympanic cavity. So, in the tympanic cavity of each ear, of each middle ear, we know we are having two ear, right one and left one. So, the tympanic cavity of our middle ear and inner ear are having three small bones. So in the tympanic cavity of middle ear, the three smallest bones of our body are present. And these three small bones of our body are known as auditory ossicles. So here in the figure, let me show you this three. Okay, here the names are written. See, one is malleus, second one incus, and the third one is known as stapes. Malleus, incus, and stapes. These three are the auditory ossicles. Now, where these three bones are located, so these three bones are located, they are positioned between the tympanic membrane and the oval window. Okay, so here you can see auditory ossicle, three small bone, malleus, incus, stapes. Okay, and this is the tympanic membrane, and here this is the oval window. This one is the oval window. So auditory ossicle, malleus, incus, and stapes, they are positioned between tympanic membrane and the oval window. And their names, okay, the names of auditory ossicle. So from lateral to medial, they are malleus, also known as hammer, then incus, also known as anvil, and stapes, stirrup. So to remember these names, you can remember the order with the acronym MIS. M for malleus, I for incus, and S for stapes. Okay, malleus, incus, and this one, okay, this one is the stapes. Okay, now one more figure I would like to show you for this. See, in this figure also, these are the three. Okay, see, okay, ossicle, malleus, incus, stapes. in this figure. Okay. See, right tympanic cavity after removal of tympanic membrane, lateral view. So here you can see the steppers they are showing. Okay, and the handle of malleus you see. Okay, then long limb of incus. Okay, so these are the three auditory ossicles. Okay, now we are discussing the shapes of shapes of this three auditory ossicle and their function, what role they are playing in the hearing process. So malleus malleus is having long handle, and at its end is expanded. It is having expanded end, and malleus look like it resemble as a large hammer. So it appearance it look like a large hammer in shape. Now the long handle of malleus is in contact with the tympanic membrane. So long handle is touching the tympanic membrane. Okay, whereas the incus incus is approximately triangular in shape, and the incus resembles an anvil. So you might have seen this anvil many a times. Some roadside shoe workers. Okay, they are known as mochis. So these mochis or the shoe worker to repair the shoes and the chappals or the sandals, they use this anvil. Okay, so the shape of the incus is like a anvil. Okay, so this incus is the middle auditory ossicle, and the last one, third one, is the stapes. So stapes is composed of an arch and a plate of bone. So in stapes, arch is there and plate of bone is present. Stapes look like stirrup on a saddle. So I have already explained you about the saddle, what is saddle, in the our joint lecture. Okay, so the stapes resemble stirrup on a saddle. See, the cylindrical disc-like foot plate of stapes fits into the oval window. So this is the foot-like disc plate, and this disc plate is fitting into oval window. So this is the oval window. Okay, now the ossicles are anchored by various small ligament. With these three auditory ossicle, various ligaments are attached, and this ligament, they are also attached to the surrounding structures. So all three auditory ossicle, with them ligaments are attached, and these ligaments at the same time they are also attaching to the surrounding structures. Okay. Now the function of auditory ossicle. Okay, uh, what is the role? What is the role of this malleus, incus, and stapes in our hearing process? Okay, see, auditory ossicle, they are responsible for amplification of sound waves which are received from the tympanic membrane. Okay, and this auditory ossicle, they are going to send this sound wave, they are going to pass this sound wave to the oval window. So what happens whenever we hear a sound? So it is due to this thing. This is the auricle or pinna, and we know this auricle or pinna is guiding, is channelizing all the sound waves. Okay, it is directing all the sound wave to the tympanic membrane. So the sound wave, when this sound wave strike the tympanic membrane, that time tympanic membrane start vibrating. Now due to this vibration, these three bones, okay, the three small bone, malleus, incus, and stapes, they also vibrate. Okay, now as these three, they are vibrating, so now the last one, the stapes is also vibrating, and we know it is connected with the oval window. Okay, and oval, from the oval window, the vibration enters into the inner ear. Okay, so in the structure of inner ear, we know there is a fluid is there, and the receptor cell are also present. Okay, so see, the sound wave strike the tympanic membrane. Okay, so the three middle ear ossicle vibrate. Okay, vibration passed to this three middle ear ossicle. So now finally the foot plate of the stapes is vibrating. Okay, so this foot plate of stapes, it moves in and out of the oval window. Okay, so this movement of ossicle initiate pressure wave in the fluid which is present in the inner ear. So we can say the movement of ossicle is pressurizing the fluid which is present in the inner ear. Okay, now uh, two tiny skeletal muscle, they are also attached with this auditory ossicle. One muscle is tensor tympani. Tensor tympani muscle is attached to this malleus. Okay, and second muscle is known as stapedius. This stapedius muscle attached to the stapes. So I am showing you in the figure both the muscle. One is tensor tympani, we are remembering the name. One muscle tensor tympani attached to malleus, and second muscle stapedius attached to the stapes. So in this figure, see, tensor, this one is the tensor tympani muscle, and here stapedius muscle, this one is the stapedius muscle. Okay, so as we can see, this tensor tympani muscle is attached to the malleus, and this stapedius muscle is attached to the stapes. One more figure I would like to show you. See, tensor tympani muscle, this one, tensor tympani muscle, and see, pyramidal eminence and tendon of stapedius muscle. Okay, stapedius muscle. So, and you can see the stapes. So with the stapes, this stapedius muscle is attached. So how this attachment of muscle to malleus and stapes is helping us? What the role these two muscles are playing? Okay. See, this muscle now this muscle reflexity, okay, restrict ossicle movement when we encounter the loud sound. Okay, so when we are hearing, when we come across the loud sound, that time the reflex of this muscle restrict the ossicle movement, okay, including when we are speaking. So when we are speaking, that time also the reflex of this muscle restrict ossicular movement, and as the ossicle movement is restricted, so the fluid in the internal ear is not going to pressurized. Okay, and as the fluid is not pressurized, so what happen? It will protect the sensitive sensory receptor within the ear. Now imagine a situation when we come across the loud sound and these muscles are not there. So what happened? So due to the loud sound, what will happen? This ear ossicle will move very rapidly, very quickly. So this rapid and quick movement of ossicle will produce high pressure in the fluid of internal ear. So due to this high pressure, the receptor cell in the inner ear are going to damage. So the entire hearing process is going to disturb. Okay, but to prevent that, this muscle reflexity is restricting the movement of ossicle at the time of loud sound. Okay, so basically this muscle reflexity is protecting our inner ears receptor. Okay, now the see, the reflexive response involve so when we come across the, when we are hearing the loud sound, that time these two muscle they contract, okay, and they generate the reflexive responses. Okay, so they are not allowing, they are restricting the movement of auditory ossicle, and duration for this restriction or this reflexive response or the contraction time of this two muscle, tensor tympani and stapedius, last only for 40 millisecond. So 40 millisecond, you can understand is a very minute time period. Okay, so due to that, this reflexive response of this two muscle is not able to protect our sensory receptor of inner ear from the blast of sound such as occur with a gunshot. So if someone is firing a gun, so the sound produced by the propelling or the movement of bullet in the air, okay, so we know the speed of bullet is very rapid in the air, so that time the large sound that we are going to listen, that time this muscles reflexive response is not going to restrict the ossicle movement, so that time the ossicles are going to move very rapidly, and it is possible that it can damage our receptor cells of the inner ear. So for this reason, loud blast of sound, okay, especially damaging to the sensory receptor within the inner ear. One more example I would like to give you. See, many workers, they are working in the industries, okay, so and many types of sound they come across when they are working in the industries. So it is possible that there in their middle ear, these two muscle, tensor tympani and stapedius, they lost their reflexive restrict action on ossicle movement, okay, because daily they are continuously under the various kind of sound influence. So it is possible, if they are remain in this industry and they are working for years, so their hearing mechanism is going to affected, okay, they eventually they will lose their hearing sensation, okay, and that's why as when or at our home, see, in our home the music system is there, okay, and if we are continuously and daily basis, on the daily basis we are playing the music on a high note, loud sound we are playing, okay, high volume we are keeping for our song, so it can damage the tensor tympani and stapedius muscle, and these two muscle will lose the reflexive restriction on ossicle movement, so this can damage our receptor cell in the inner ear, and our hearing ability can be damaged. So it is advisable to listen the songs on low volume, okay. So with this we have completed our discussion on middle ear. I hope you have enjoyed this lecture, and I also hope that this lecture will be helpful in your exam preparation and also in your studies. My name is Manish Kosti sir. I am from Ahmedabad, India. Bye bye. Namaste.